Hi, welcome everyone. It's Mike Newton down here at Latham Golf Academy. I've got a new wedge review for you here today, and it's a new SM7 wedge from Titleist. So, as we know, Vokeys are massively popular wedges. I think a lot on tour. Probably one of the most sold wedges, I would say. Very classic sort of shape. They don't really do anything wrong. Just really sort of good looking sort of wedges. Now obviously SM7 is a new addition now, and what Vokey are doing here is the change in the centre of gravity in the club depending on the loft. So we're seeing this happen a little bit in other brands, which is all about sort of trying to control spin and keep it consistent. So as you imagine, as you're changing the lofts, obviously spin's going to get greater and decrease as you get a more sort of less loft. So trying to keep the spin more consistent and moving the CG, so as you're striking it either below it, into it, or higher than the CG placement, that changes your spin numbers. Like it does with a driver, we know when we strike it higher in the face, that pulls spin off. When we strike it low, it adds spin on. It's a similar sort of theory here with the CG placement in these wedges, depending on which loft, for the types of shots that we're going to see out on that golf course. So Titleist have done some work on the grooves here, so obviously they're getting these grooves a little bit more zippier here, so again maximising spin as much as possible, which is a theme we're seeing across a lot of the brands now, really trying to max the grooves for obviously ultimate spin. You then got grinds. Okay, so we're talking bounces, we've also got grinds here, so this is where it can get quite confusing I think for a lot of golfers in terms of, well, what's a grind? What's the right grind for me? Then, well, okay, what's bounce? And then also then you've got the different loft options. So this really sort of depends on maybe the courses you play, the ground conditions you play, and also your delivery of the golf club, whether you're steeper or a little bit shallower angle of attack. Obviously you've got grinds to sort of suit. Now 6 grinds to choose, so I'm not going to go through all these different grinds. A lot of the information is on the Titleist website, which you can go and maybe have a little look at. But probably for you guys, definitely go and get to a fitter, who's got some different grinds, and maybe you can measure your angle of attack, talk to you a little bit about the courses that you would play on, your ground conditions you generally play, and then try and fit in the grind that will probably suit you as an individual. Okay, so I'm going to hit some shots here. I've got a 52 degree, a 56 and a 60 here. So I'm going to hit some full out shots about 110 yards out from the green here with a 52. We'll see how that's going to sort of react, and then we'll move into the sort of like 50-yard pitch shots like I did with the other review of the Mac Daddy 4, and see how, with a little shorter shots, how the ball will sort of spin. Maybe do that with a 60 degree here. So what you'll see here is the 52 degree. I'll put a picture up on here. The 52 degree, you've got like the little weighted sort of groove in the back of the head here, sat sort of in the middle of the club. So that's keeping the CG sort of it's fairly central in the head here, so when you're striking that ball, we're trying to meet ball with CG. Obviously, your fuller shots, you're going to generate a more spin because you've got more speed. Okay, now as we go into the 60 degree, what you'll see here is that sort of ridge of that weight is now moved right to the top of the head. Okay, so right to that top edge. And basically that's moving CG higher up the club face. So as you would strike it near 2 or 3 grooves up, you're actually going to hit or strike the ball below that CG placement. So we know when we strike below it, that increases spin. So for those shorter shots around the green where we haven't got the speed of the club head, we've got the loft, we've got the CG placement high, which is going to hopefully increase some spin numbers. So that's what we're going to have a little look at today. Let's test this sort of CG placement, see how that sort of reacts in terms of those spin numbers. But we'll hit that 52 first, full shots, and then we'll go into those 60 and those 50-yard shots. Okay, so we're going to start off with the 52 degrees. So as I say, about 110 yards out from the green here. Now, as I put that down by the ball, it's a great look. Vokey's do some great shapes, and that's no different. Very sort of rounded. Front edge doesn't sit too sort of forward from that hosel there. Just a very simple, classic looking wedge there. I don't think they're ever going to make a bad wedge, to be honest. So, as I say, 52 degree, about 110 yards out. Let's get this first one hit. Okay, that felt superb. That feels really good. Comes out quite nice. Let's see how that spins. Whoa. Okay, that had a bit of grip on it. Okay, so that pitch 113, spun back 11, 9,100 spin there. So that's a decent spin number there for a sort of full out sort of 52 degree. That's probably the number I sort of expect there. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want these full shots ripping right the way back. And this is again one of the reasons why this CG placement is trying to suit the type of shot and the type of loft that you're actually using. Because, as I say, spin's good, control's good, but you don't at the same time want it sort of zipping back off the green. Okay, so these Vokey wedges come in 3 different finishes here. So as they generally do, so you've got the Tour Chrome, which is quite a sort of classic looking club there. Not the high polish, but it's that little bit of a brushed sort of steel there, but they call it the Tour Chrome. And then you've got the brushed steel, which is the one I'm just hitting at the moment. It's 52, which is quite that sort of slightly darker appearance to it. And then they do a jet black, which is just literally black. So, you know, again, that's personal choice. That isn't changing performance in any way. That's just basically a look, which is very much obviously personal there with what colour you sort of prefer. Okay, I'll get this second one hit here. Okay, that wasn't a great strike there. That was a little bit lower in the club face, but sometimes those can really grip, and that has done, yeah. So that's, again, looks to be spin up. That's 111 carry, spinning at 9,500 there. So that's slightly low in the face. I think sometimes when you get those, you feel a little bit thinny feel, but it sort of really gets that spin working up. And again, same as what I talked about before, I've obviously hit that lower than where the CG placement is, which pops that spin up. We know I've not flushed it, but I know it's going to stop when it lands on that green. Okay, feels really good. Yeah, again, that spin, that's a nice shot, quite close to the flag there. Not quite as far as the other ones, but pretty close, spinning, yeah, just under 9,100. Okay, so we're seeing some nice performance there. It feels good, it looks good, very pleasing to my eye there. Spin numbers more than sort of happy with and probably what I expect from that sort of distance. So let's move in, let's go to that 50-yard shot. I'm going to go into the 60 degree there because that's the one where the CG and that weight strip is very high in the club. So I'd be really interested to see how these shorter shots, how the spin hopefully can get up from what Titleist is saying. Right, okay, so now we've got the, as I say, the 60 degree in my hands here. This is actually the S grind here, 10 degree bounce. Again in that brushed steel finish. So, as I say, this weighted section on the back now has gone up to the top end of the club. So the CG placement's gone a little bit higher up the club face. So as we would strike it a little bit more lower, this should generate a little bit more spin. Now I'm just going to hit the 50-yard shot here, so it's not a big full-out shot. Yeah, that feels really, that come out a bit lower, that felt really zippy in there. Yeah, 8,400. I think, you know, when you sometimes get those strikes with these lofted clubs, you know, I was expecting that to pop up, and I just got that bit sort of nippy in a way. It shot out quite low, but I could tell it had quite a bit of spin. You could see it just pull up quite quick there. That was a really nice sort of flight. I quite like that. Yeah, I love that. That's a great yardage there. That was 6,500. So different spin number there, but it's again, it's just coming out a little bit lower. So as I'm just hitting that below that CG, that's just pulling that launch down a little bit. So it's coming out a little bit lower. Obviously it's a 60 degrees, so still plenty of height there, but it's coming out a little bit lower and just sort of going boom, 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 and stopping there. And for me, I love that flight. I've always grown up with hitting that sort of lower one and just letting it pull up really. And that's what I'm getting with that. It feels really, it does feel very spinny off the face, if that makes sense. You sort of feel like you're just hitting it. It comes out low. Your initial thought is, oh God, I've hit that a bit hard, but you can see it. The flight is quite soft and it just pulls up when it lands. Yeah, it feels superb. Oh, it's got loads of spin. Again, it's that slightly lower flight coming out, and that's packed. That's 8,700 spin there, so that's stopping really quick. So for such a short shot where I'm not giving it everything, so the speed isn't there, because we know the elements to get back spin is club head speed, obviously loft, clean grooves, everything. But obviously I'm dropping off a lot of speed here because I'm only hitting this 50 yards. So I like that. I like what Titleist are doing there with that weighting. I can see that it makes a lot of sense to me, you know, through fitting obviously with drivers and other clubs. Hitting it below the CG is going to pop that ball out a little bit lower, okay? And then it's also then going to pack the spin on it, which for me ticks all the right boxes. That feels superb. I love the way that's performing. But let's go and have a look at those numbers in a little bit more detail, and then we'll see exactly what it's doing. Okay, so let's look at some numbers. So start with the 52 first, which was the 110-yard shot, fairly full shot, not flat out, but nice sort of smooth full 52 there. So that spun at 9,008.2. So you can see the numbers are fairly consistent there on that spin number, which is good in that sort of area. Again, as I'd expect to see that number. So that isn't higher than what I'd expect, and that's in a number that I would sort of see with that 52 degree. You know, and that, as you could see when it landed, it landed pitched and then come back. So you can see average there, 110 carry, coming back to 109. So we've got that little bit of spin there, which is good, I think, for those full shots. Imagine a scenario where flags tucked behind a bunker, you got a full shot in, so you can just maybe land it a little bit past, you know it's going to stop. Okay, so then looking in the 60 here at the 50 yards. So obviously we're losing speed here because it's this 50-yard shot. We're going to the more loft. CG placement goes higher in the club here. So we see a spin number here averaging at 79, just under 8,000 there. So I like that number. For that particular shot there, I like that number. Now, the second one dropped off quite a bit. Now, this obviously strike will change these numbers. Yes, we're talking about CG placement, but also strike will override these numbers a little bit more here. So didn't quite get that second one as good. You see it pulled up a little bit shorter there in the carry at 48 yards. And obviously that spin just altered there. But you see the first one and the third one were the ones I struck, what I felt were really crisp. And you can see that spin number up into those mid 8,000s there, which is, I love that. For that type of shot, that with not a lot of speed, I love the fact that the flight came out that little bit lower, okay, and then it's all obviously just pulling up quite nice there, which is great for that type of shot. Okay guys, so there we go, new SM7 wedges. So these are due to launch, definitely in the UK, I think it's around the 9th of March 18, so obviously we're a few, well, a good month off before these are actually released to the UK market. You know, obviously Vokey, they've done some great wedges, and I'm sure they always will do. The shaping of them are beautiful, but I really do like what they're doing with this shifting of the weight here for the various lofts. And we've seen a little bit of that on those shots I've hit there. Those 50-yarders is probably the one that I would really sort of work on or like to see a control of the shot, because they're the ones that sometimes are, you know, you need to stop it quick when that's a certain situation where you haven't got a lot of green to work with, and obviously you're not having the speed to do that. So when you're dropping off the speed, that little bit of CG placement there high makes a lot of sense. I really do like that. Cracking wedge there, guys, so hopefully you can get out and try those and test those yourselves. Obviously there's a lot of grinds, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of bounce options, a lot of loft options, then you've got 3 different finishes on the head, so loads to sort of choose from. So definitely go and get a good fitter who's got the options, who can measure your angle of attack and try and get a grind in that suits your sort of swing. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Always appreciate you watching the videos. Do comment down below and let me know your thoughts on SM7. Follow my social media platforms, the links are on the description down below, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.